Hello, friends, and thank you for joining us for another conversation here on the Level Up Co podcast. Taylor and I have a really fun episode for you guys. We are here at Hybrid Conference, and it's continuing our hybrid series. And we have brought on different attendees who have signed up for a time to ask questions on the podcast. So it's going to be a series of different attendees from Hybrid that are coming in, and there are some great nuggets of information on this. Taylor, I have not even introduced you yet. How are you?
Here I am. I'm here. I exist. I'm just kidding. I actually didn't even notice if I'm being totally honest. I was just like nodding along and listening to everything you said. But yeah, this is great. As we're recording, we are finishing up day one of Hybrid. It's actually really cool. We set up a whole podcast studio here at Hybrid Co. We sent out an email to attendees. We have like little signs around where they can scan a QR code and grab a time on the calendar and sit down and ask us questions. So we are going to put together a few of these episodes where we are bringing on multiple attendees asking questions. And so this is the first installment of that. It's going to be really fun. You know, some of my favorite podcasts are in this format where people like either write in or call in and kind of give their situation, ask a question, and like get guidance. I love those kinds of podcasts and YouTube videos, and we thought maybe you guys would like it too. Here at the Level Up Co., Kelly and I truly do believe that an elevated client experience from the very first touch point of that first email all the way through the delivery of your wedding films or those final galleries are all so important. And that's why Kelly and I both have been using and loving VidFlow for the last several years, and we recommend to all of our students and our audience members to use VidFlow as well. Delivery experience truly matters. The way your clients view their films for the very first time should be a magical moment. It needs to be a professional and branded experience, instead of basic file sharing like Dropbox or Google Drive, or even Vimeo or YouTube links. Through VidFlow, clients can stream their videos through smart TVs, streaming devices, and setup boxes. Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, you name it. There are so many options for clients to watch and experience their films for the very first time on the big screen at home. And VidFlow is now offering photo delivery as well. They now support photo delivery with their new hybrid galleries, which is a major benefit for hybrid shooters and combined photo and video teams. You can now deliver your beautiful photo galleries alongside your video galleries in one place. Level up your delivery experience for 2026 and beyond with VidFlow. You can get started today by going to vidflow.co/thelevelupco. This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrnovich.
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Emma, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
We're here at Hybrid Co., and you have a question for the podcast.
I do.
All right, what is your question?
So I'm looking to expand into a new market while maintaining, my brand presence. So if I've already built a strong presence in a certain market, what is the most strategic way to enter a new one without starting from scratch or overextending myself?
Ooh, this is so good. Do you feel like the built-in relationships and the community that you have at the price point that you're at currently, is it where you want to remain for the next couple of years, or are you wanting to make some big moves price-wise?
I'd like to make some moves over the years, but not huge jumps.
Okay, that's great. I just needed like a little bit of clarification. Yeah. Okay, great. I would say, and you already know which market you're kind of locked into.
My current market, you mean, or where I want to go?
The one you want to go to?
Kind of.
Okay.
I'm still in the exploratory phases where I'm like trying to decide where to focus the energy because I don't want to be scattered everywhere. Yeah.
So my biggest thing would be, again, like you're doing this week, you're in the rooms and you're getting in the rooms.
Yeah.
But getting in the rooms in, say, the networking events that are more based there and hosted there. So let's talk about maybe it's the WIPA Philadelphia, maybe it's the WIPA Dallas or wherever there is like putting yourself, even though you may not live there. I mean, I've heard of so many past students of ours and stuff like that actually go and like make that effort. And it has been so fruitful for them. Like they've seen huge success and leaps. And then also, I think it's an okay balance. It's not going to happen overnight. So I love that you're making this transition while still maintaining the heavy brand presence at home. And I feel like, you don't have to tell people that you're not working there anymore. I mean, Paul and I, we took the last 2 years, I wanted to broaden out of our local market a little bit actually too. Yes. So I was doing this, what you're wanting to do a couple years ago. And what I would do is I really spoke heavily on my socials about travel that we were going to.
Okay.
While still, having some whisperings that we were like also still local and stuff. But what I've found is that the local things, they're not going to go away.
Yeah.
It's harder to go and like pinpoint and put yourself there and for your audience to realize that like you're willing to travel or you want
Yes.
to be in that certain market. So I'm always telling people like, talk about it more than you think on the socials because not
Okay.
everybody's paying as much attention as you may think they are. And so, if it's either a weekend trip out there and you're like grabbing content and you're placing yourself there,
Yeah.
you can still bring some of those like personal travels into it, into the, online persona, and it becomes part of the brand identity.
Okay.
Any other follow up questions specifically?
Yeah, not a follow-up, but also what you had mentioned was kind of a worry. It's my local market thinking that maybe I'm not as available anymore when I'm sharing more in different places. So that is kind of the worry. It's like how you want to maintain the presence there. You live there. So I still want to work where I live, but I do want to do a little bit more destination in different markets. So that's, yeah.
Definitely. I think that it's a very conversational thing. Like if you have relationships with wedding planners
Yeah.
and stuff, I have found just for it to pay off so much that like twice a year getting into their inbox and like checking in, sending over your collections. Maybe you've
Okay.
made some tweaks to the collections. Talk about, where you are and what you're booking currently. So let's say it's in July and you could say like, I'm still currently booking for late fall, like
Okay.
sending over collections. I'm currently having people that are booking in the late fall and early 2027 or spring of 2027 and really placing that for them because they may get a client that comes in and they're ready to book photo or whatever. And then they're like, oh, I just got an email from Emma that was telling me about
Okay.
that. It's reminding me that like she still wants to work here.
Yeah.
Although she's still going off and doing all the destination things, she still has a base here and wants to maintain that base there. So I've had to do that too. Like I think sometimes when you're in that growth period into a new market, you tend to go all in. And then your local people do, like you were saying, like that's a real fear because it's something that happens. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they sit and they're like, wait, do you not want to work here anymore? And
Exactly.
all that. But maintaining that internal
Okay.
relationship and having the internal dialogue with them, I wouldn't say this is an external thing that needs to be like shouted from the Instagram stories, right?
Yeah.
But it's an internal conversation of getting in touch with those planners and just notifying them like of maybe some small tweaks that you've
Yeah.
had or, I even just recently last year I made a switch where all my collections include rehearsal dinner or some sort of welcome Friday coverage.
Okay.
And when I made that adjustment, I let all of my planner partners in both markets know, like my destination planners and my local planners, because I was finding that my destination events were opting in for that, but my local events weren't for whatever reason. And so again, you just have to like let it be known. They're never going to guess on your behalf that that's
Absolutely.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
You really just have to speak it out there and tell them. So, yeah, twice a year, getting in touch with those planners, letting
Okay.
them know if you've made changes to those collections, if you've made changes to the way in which maybe you've gone through a little refresh or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
That's very helpful, actually.
All right. Well, hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Can you introduce yourself for the listeners?
Yes. My name is Vanessa de los Santos, and I'm a wedding planner based in Connecticut.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, one of the questions that I have is what signals the algorithm that you are a premium brand?
Ooh, that's great. I mean, I don't think the Instagram algorithm can tell like necessarily based on your content, but a lot of it is going to be based on who is interacting with your content. So the engagement in Instagram is what signals who should be fed what. So if somebody is interacting with, let's say, like Lynn Easton's stuff, who she's very well known for being an ultra luxury wedding planner, and then those same people are interacting with your Instagram, you'll kind of get lumped into the same category. Instagram is always learning based on who is liking, sharing, even just watching more than 3 seconds of reels or things like that. And so if your content feels similar, like with a similar audience, you'll get lumped in with those people. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I love that. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I think we spoke a little bit about it, but I'd love to know a little more about the scarcity idea with messaging on Instagram. I see a lot of wedding pros post, almost fully booked for the season or one slot available. Do you think for the luxury market that is attractive or does that like repel clients?
It definitely repels
Okay.
clients. We kind of call it cattle calling. And it's like if you imagine going into a really nice restaurant and someone standing up and being like, we only have 3 desserts left. Like, who wants them? Like, wouldn't that be kind of off-putting, right? That's kind of how it is.
Okay.
And so in the virtual world, it can be like easier to get away from yourself and like do those things based on a whim. But we have to like remember if we're trying to attract a luxury clientele, like quiet confidence is what signals luxury. And just being very like secure in where you are, and people will naturally be attracted to that.
Okay. Love that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course. Thanks for your questions.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I'm so excited to talk with you. You have a prepared topic, and I would love to hear about it.
Yes, thank you for having me. I wanted to talk about the lack of visibility for plus size couples in the wedding industry because a lot of high end publications and planners and photographers and industry people don't show that body type. And I feel like as a photographer, if you can really pose a plus size couple well, you can pose any body type.
Okay, this is so great. Okay, say that we have a listener and they're listening and they say, and so we're going to give like, and our podcast editor, Cassie, I'm going to have you maybe pop up examples of these poses on the screen while we're recording because
Yeah.
we'll be on YouTube too. Okay, so if someone's listening and they say, I know that 3 months from now I have a wedding coming up
Yep.
and it's a plus size couple and
Yes.
I've never photographed a plus size couple before.
Yep.
What are like 3 to 5 poses that really flatter a plus size couple?
That's a great question. So one of my favorite poses that I like to do has them more slightly open at a 45-degree angle. So that way the biggest thing is to create an S shape with people's bodies, whether it's having people crisscross their ankles. Now, the cool thing with plus size bodies is that you can have them face you dead on. And if you have if it's a bride, if she crisscrosses her ankles, it makes her hip pop out a little bit more and that creates an S shape. And that looks really, really flattering instead of photographing from the side. Also, movement is such a big differentiator when it comes to plus size bodies. Have them walk, have them twirl, have them do like walking. Like I do, like I drop my shutter speed and where you're dragging the person across, like that looks really flattering for plus size bodies. And then it's about cropping as well. So I find with traditional or like straight size people, you can crop in tighter and it looks cute. If you crop in tight for someone who exists in a larger body, all of a sudden you're accentuating their body size. So you need to give a little bit more space in that photo so you're not accentuating how big their body is. And never flatten their arms against their body as well. And never shoot underneath them.
Okay. So creating like
There's
so
so
with
many.
the arms, because I know the arms are like a big thing.
Yeah.
Even like my really teeny tiny clients, you get on a wedding day and
Oh,
they're like, I
yeah.
hate my arms. I'm like,
Oh,
girl,
yeah.
your arms are tiny. And so
Yeah.
they're very people, I think, and I am too. I'm actually very sensitive to like my arms in photos.
Absolutely.
What is then a way? So is it always a bend?
Always
Is it
a slight bend.
okay?
Like I think that Jose Villa does a really great job of this. He always I call it like the tiny purse where it just pops your elbows really nicely out, but you can also use the bouquet so it's never flat against the body. There's just always a tiny little like curve arch happening with the arm, and you just have them slightly pop it out from their body so it's not flattening against it.
Yeah.
And it's tiny little things like that and it just makes such a huge difference.
Yeah. It's almost too like I'd imagine like a pickup of the dress a little bit.
Absolutely.
Like a little bit something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Or even like I still have them maybe like bring their hand up to their shoulder. That still looks really cute.
Yes.
They can play with their veil. Any sort of movement makes the body more fluid, and then it's less about flattening it and making it look accentuated.
Right.
And they're really going to love those photos more. And then if you're doing your natural talent as a photographer and bringing out their personality, they're going to see not only their body look great, but also they can see themselves and the joy in that moment. So it's twofold.
This is so valuable. The listeners are going to absolutely love this. I love that we ended too on just like this overall little posing guide, the mini posing guide. And then again, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll have like flashed up images of some examples of that to give you that visual representation if you're more of a visual learner too.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. Well, next we have Paige Wasco. Paige, welcome.
Hi, Taylor. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. This is my first time on like a little podcasty setup. So if I like look around, I'm here.
I love it. Well, I don't know. The cameras can be intimidating.
Good.
All right. Well, for those who don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Paige Wasco. I am based right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a photographer. I started when I was like 17, just like taking photos of my friends and stuff in high school. And then one thing led to another. I found a spot in the wedding industry as a second shooter for a few years right after COVID. So it was all the crazy COVID makeup weddings and stuff. I was helping some photographers local to me. Actually in Youngstown, Ohio, because I'm super close to the state line. So Cleveland and Pittsburgh are like really cool places to work for me. And then I just started doing weddings on my own. And 2025 was my first year full time. And I did the level up. Well, I did the I did the luxury mastermind. Sorry. And it was so good to learn from you and Kelly. And I feel like my second year full time is already starting to cook, and everything is just going to be great. I think so. I'm my career's in infancy, and I'm just blessed to be here at Hybrid today.
Oh, well, we're so excited that you went through the program and that you're here
Yeah.
live with us now. I would love to answer your question.
So, one of my questions I have, very inspired by Steve Moore's talk just a few minutes ago, um, how do you balance, because you have a family, how do you balance work and life and your children's things and things with your husband? Like, how does that look for you? And secondary question to piggyback off of that, what hobbies do you have in your life that you love and enjoy besides all the photo, video, tech, and all the business stuff? What do you enjoy?
Great questions. Okay, so I'll do like the easy part first.
Go ahead.
I love reading. I ebb and flow. So I'll do like heavy reading periods and then I'll fall off for a while. But like I love a romantasy novel. Like I love like the like Fourth Wing series. I love like, I don't know, all of that. Like Throne of Glass. We've talked about it on the podcast a couple times, but like if it has a sword and magic and like all that, then I love it. So I love reading. My husband and I like playing pickleball. We love going on hikes. I love just like a good hot girl walk, like popping in a podcast.
That's so real.
Weighted vest, just like around the neighborhood. So like very basic hobbies, but I'm a homebody mostly. And I said it on the podcast a while back, but my favorite thing to do is just tinker, like on my laptop. It can be doing anything. It could be like dreaming up a new business idea or like playing around with like interior design for my house, like on Canva or something. But if I have my laptop on my lap and like a cup of coffee next to me, then like I'm in my happiest space. So for myself, work-life balance probably looks a little bit more untraditional than a lot of people, how they would like imagine what work-life balance would look like. Because I don't believe work-life balance in a traditional sense. If you're somebody who's like a high achiever and like has giant dreams and goals for yourself, which I do, because I'm so like my goals and my work are so integrated into my life that I actually don't like ever really disconnect, if I'm being honest. Because that actually feels natural to me. I actually feel like, for me personally, like this is a weird answer, but like I feel unsettled when I don't have access to like my laptop and internet. Like I don't like being disconnected. I like to always have the option to like keep my finger on the pulse. And so I'll have days where I'm like heavily into work or heavily into family, but either side of the equation always has a little bit of the other one too. It's like yin and yang. Like the black side of the yin yang is mostly black, but a little bit of white. So maybe it's like, that's a heavy work day with like a dabbling of family.
Yeah.
And my heavy family day still has a little bit of work. And I feel like if I just kind of like am flowing between those two states, I feel like I am balanced overall.
Yeah.
And for me, balance is not what happens in a day. It balances what like it looks like over a week. So my husband is always telling me like, he's like, you're balancing all this really well. And it's not the fact that like, I'm like chopping up my day, like specifically to like be equal parts. It's just like, I'm able to like balance all the plates in the air at the same time while like maintaining the level of like, I don't know, the level that I want in each area.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know a lot of people think of work-life balance as like being able to like completely disconnect and like focus solely on like your life, like for long periods. But we work in like this industry where timing is of the essence.
Yeah.
And you can actually like miss out on huge work opportunities if you're not available to respond like within a reasonable amount of time.
100%.
I do a few things like when I'm in my house, like my phone is on silent and I flip my phone upside down on the counter so that I'm not just like accessible at any time. Like I miss my phone ringing all the time. And so I feel like I'm less accessible in the moment where people want to access me. Like I'm choosing to be accessible. So like if I want to like disrupt family time to go check my phone, that's like an intentional choice I'm making. I'm not letting other people intrude on me by me hearing the phone ring.
Yeah.
Does that like people like live their lives on do
Yeah.
not disturb sometimes? And that's kind of like what I do. Hey friends, really quickly, I'm going to interrupt this podcast episode because I just want to say we are so grateful to have you as listeners. Heading into our 2026 wedding season and into 2027 next year, we just know that so much is on the horizon for you. Because you're listening to this podcast, that means you are a really ambitious photographer or filmmaker, or maybe a content creator in the wedding industry who has sights set on the next level of business. The Luxury Mastermind program, which is our signature program here at the Level Up Co., is going to help you do just that. We have helped hundreds wedding filmmakers and photographers elevate their businesses into that next level. A great example of this is Skylar Ball, who is a wedding filmmaker based in Tennessee, who was charging $3,500 per wedding when he joined our program, and now 18 months later, he's consistently booking at $12,000. We've had other students book their first five-figure wedding during our program, and we've had many students be able to double and triple their prices, which sounds crazy, but it's actually true, and we are so proud of them. If you are ready to see growth like that, if you're ready to get to that next level in business, book out your calendar year with weddings at a price point that you feel so proud of, and with weddings that are artistically fulfilling for you and that are just so fun to capture, we would love to welcome you inside our next round of the Luxury Mastermind. We are currently pre-enrolling seats before we officially launch, and students who pre-enroll get a bonus one-on-one coaching call with Kelly or myself, which is something we absolutely do for our students as a little thank you for signing up early. You can go to thelevelupco.com/mastermind to learn more about the program, see what's inside, and to pre-enroll. That should be linked in the description box down below if you're watching on YouTube, or linked in the description if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Kelly and I are so excited for our next cohort of the Luxury Mastermind, and we hope to see you in there so that we can guide you to that next level of business and beyond.
And I feel like that's smart too, especially like with the kids and with your husband and stuff. Like it, like you said, it's less about like long, like getting away froms and more about balance. And I'm sure that the focus changes throughout the day, even or throughout the day, throughout the weeks. And I'm sure like with busy season and off season, it might look a little bit different too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like just different things or different priorities and stuff.
Yeah.
I really liked your answer a lot. That was really nice to hear.
Oh,
And I think too, like it is hard, especially in the industry that we're in. Like we have a little glowing screen in our pockets where we're like always accessible and everybody's always accessible to us. And like we have more information now than we ever have. And I think it's so hard to get away from it because it is just right there all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, like even at the gas station, you're hearing ads and seeing things. And it's like, oh
we're
my gosh.
bombarded.
Yes, we're bombarded. And it's like, oh my goodness, like we're on our phones and we work for ourselves. So it's like, yeah, I get it. It's just like there's it's hard to have filters, and it's honestly it's hard to have boundaries too. I feel like because it's right there all the time, and it's like, oh, I can't sleep. It's 1 a.m. Let me answer an email.
Yeah. So actually that's like one thing, like having kids, like being up in the middle of the night, like nursing babies and things like that. Like I had a lot of friends who would be like, oh, I'm just scrolling Instagram or TikTok in the middle of the night while I'm like feeding the baby. And I'm like, I don't look up, like when I was having kids, like I don't look at my phone. Like I try to keep my eyes shut and like stay
dark,
in that like
stay in sleep, do the nursing, do the things and keep it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, too, like I think some people like burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
And like I'm not a night person, so I can't work at night. Like 5 o'clock hits, and like even if I wanted to be productive, like it would be very like low quality work. And so like I'm done working by 5 no matter what, but then I'm up by 5 o'clock in the morning working in the morning. So like I stack my like work days on the front end, and then the back end, like I lean into like what my body's like natural tendencies would be anyway. And so that's more like relaxing time, family time. I'm not like trying to force a round peg in a square hole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just like leaning into what's natural for me.
Right. And what feels intuitive to you in that season or for the day or for the week or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm going to take that little nugget because I feel like I need to get better at that. I feel like most people either are like morning people or night owls. I really like how you answered your question. That was so good.
Well, Kerr, thank you so much for your time coming onto the podcast. I understand that you have a question or two for me, and I would love to answer them.
I have a lot of questions. So I'll start with a favorite of people who have asked me, like, what are you going to ask? I'm like, I think this is what I want. What do you think is the biggest shift happening in the wedding industry right now?
I think that Gen Z is looking for intentionality, dialed in brands, and they want to feel in the moment, and they want a photographer and videographer who is there to kind of create their vision very seamlessly and in tandem. I think as a photographer, you probably know that Gen Z, they think what is like unposed is
Candid.
candid is
So candid.
not exactly
It's
candid.
art directed.
It is art directed. I love that
Yes.
phrase. Yes, I saw someone else explain that, I think on a TikTok or a reel or something. It's art directed. And I think that's such a beautiful terminology that we should all kind of start be implementing into it, is that they see that as posed, and like posed is like a taboo word for them. But I think that they are really looking for just a great event that doesn't feel too stuffy. They can be themselves, and they want creative partners that kind of emulate the same brand identity as what their personal ethos is. And I feel like that's the biggest shift and change.
So how do you hit that with sometimes the folks paying for the wedding are the parents, and the parents aren't Gen Z. So you kind of have to straddle the line between this like sexy, fun, candid, art directed day, direct flash, you know what I'm talking about. But then also speak to the parents of those humans, because a lot of time they're footing the bill.
Yeah, so the parents, I mean, the things that are gonna be great for them is they want those classic portraits.
Yeah.
Like, they want the things that speak to them. So that's, like, the family photos. They wanna make sure that the family formals are something that's, like, really clean, timeless classic, and Taylor and I tell our students all the time, it's truly a one for you, one for me approach. And so that's what, like, we would be like, sometimes you're trying out maybe a new camera, and so, like, the tried and true classic, timeless images that you need to produce. One, because the client just might not realize that that is what they're gonna want 5
They
years
need
from
it.
now.
Legacy, baby. They
They
need
they
it.
need it, and then it's going to appease the parents who are investing in the wedding
Totally.
commonly, and so it's a one for you, one for me, and so a lot of times what we are showcasing, and that's why image curation is so incredibly important, and curating what you're putting on your website, either to speak to a little bit of both worlds. I feel like those at like the upper ultra luxury levels do a bit of both. Like,
Yeah. You got to do it all.
yes,
You really have to.
you really do. And I think that that's also what I've heard from planners that are speaking to us as photographer and filmmakers is, what are the conversations that you're having with your clients that we're not hearing? And they're saying they're kind of wanting a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Because I think that they just like, they don't want to be locked into just having like the same images time and time again for like decades and decades and decades for them to enjoy. I don't know, like, you're married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so, like, when you look at your gallery, and so I've been married for 15 years.
Yeah, we're hitting 10 this year.
Yeah. So, like, there are probably images that you liked in year 1, 2, and 3 that aren't your favorites now anymore when you look at that gallery, right?
Perspective on it. Yeah.
And so, as a photographer and as a filmmaker myself, like, we have that unique perspective. Also, I think, like, it's like a little edge that we have on living that journey ahead of our clients and kind of knowing what they want. And then I'll tell one more story. I haven't quite booked her, but I'm hoping she's going to sign her contract this week. But I have a bride who is really interested in Super 8. But when she approached her photographer for videography referrals, she said, I just want like a clean video. And she's like, you have to go to 618. They'll do your clean video and all that. So even though the photographer's a little bit more vibey, she's like, I want something like clean and classic for my video. But then she's like, but I'm also Gen Z and I want the I feel like the Super 8 is
We
like
want it
kind of
all.
we want it all. But what she's doing is, and I think is so smart. I'm primarily weaving them in together for like my vibier clients. She's like, I actually want them separate. I want like the two mediums to live in like separate formats so that I can enjoy them as long as I'm going to enjoy the Super 8 film, and then have my digital film that solely lives in its own world.
Yep.
And I think that like as photographers, translating that to you, that's why it's nice to like mix up a little bit maybe of the gallery. So that's like a one for you, one for me, one for mom.
Yeah.
One for bride, one for mom, one for me. Like,
Very
and then
cool.
you give that over to them, and then they're getting this like beautiful, well-rounded journey of your artistry.
I also see that with the 90s camcorders are coming back too. So now they're like, okay, well, we want iPhone, we want a beautiful video, we want Super 8, and then we want camcorder. So I think at some point you kind of have to decide. And then if not, you just need more bodies. I think a lot of this came from like celebrity weddings where they had like 2 or 3 teams, right? They would have like Corbin and John shooting the White House wedding, 2 very different viewpoints, 2 very different styles. But our clients, at least my clients, aren't, the White House wedding. So, but they still want that aspirational look that these celebrities are getting of like two magnificent teams. So you kind of have to, bring more bodies yourself or like hit the middle. So yeah, it's a complicated landscape out there.
Yeah, it really is right now. I think that there are some like shifts in these years, and I don't think that it's going to be like this forever. I've been in this industry long enough to know like trends versus like things that are going to stick around, and
Yeah.
I just think that right now it's kind of like a not like a revolt, but kind of like the Style Me Pretty era that a
Yep.
lot of us grew up in. Like
Yep.
my business grew up in that Style Me Pretty era. Not to say that that's bad, like, but like that classic like contacts for
But I even
whatever.
still feel like Style Me Pretty they're pivoting and sharing
Yes.
more like modern content stuff. So
Right.
I hear you on that. Yeah, Pretty is having had its moment. It'll come back, obviously.
Yes.
But as soon as something's been done, people are like ready to move on. They hate the previous generation what they had, and I think our generation, because our businesses are the same years in age. I believe, just based on when, like you said, you got married. That it is seeing a change. It is seeing a shift. It will shift back in my mind. But or maybe not, or maybe there'll be 3D cameras that come out and we'll just have to pivot there.
I
and
actually
figure that
had a
out.
client that they talked about how they would love to have a 360 camera like in their reception.
Yes.
I actually loved the idea. They
cool.
didn't end up booking us, but
Okay.
I loved the new concept that they came with it. And I think it's like the adapt or die. Like be open
100%.
to what like the demand is and the conversations that these clients are having between themselves, right? They're all getting together. Maybe it's 3 engaged couples that are talking about their hopes and dreams for the deliverables of their wedding and stuff. And so then when we have a consultation and they ask like, oh, I had this idea of like, what if 20 years from now or 40 years from now, like my grandchildren and great grandchildren can like sit in on our reception.
Yeah.
And like be like looking around
VR.
and looking out, with the VR and
Dude,
like
it's
what?
crazy.
So you just never know.
I
Like,
know.
anyways, but
I
just
think a lot of it too has to do with the Instagram, like social media in general, right? When we started our business, or when I started, Instagram was new. So it wasn't really used for business at that point. So it was like, how perfect can we get things? How pretty can we make this? And now the younger generation is so media trained. They are chronically online. They know that everything's a lie. They can see right through the perfect. So they want the real, even though the real is produced.
Yeah.
And
Art
REAL.
directed.
Yes, art directed.
Yeah.
Toss.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's complicated to navigate, but we're both down for the ride, it seems. So that's great.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think those who are listening, I think that they'll be nodding along with us, listening in on these answers and just being like, yep, I'm tracking.
Snaps.
Yes. And I do think too, it's just, I would say don't be too quick to pivot. I feel like I love action takers, but I also love people that sit on things, especially when you have such a established brand
A clear identity, absolutely.
Then it's time to sit back and wait. And
because then
like,
you don't have
see.
brand trust if you're flipping and
Yes.
flopping all over the place. You're just trend chasing. So there, you do need to be true to yourself, but don't be so rigid that you're not willing to pick up a new camera or try and do something out. Like that's the point of life, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is great.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for your questions. I hope
Yeah.
that I gave clarity, and I think it was a great question for our audience too.
10s across the board. I could sit here for hours.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Taylor.
How are you?
Doing good.
Great.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Mhm.
Can you please introduce yourself for the listeners?
Yes. So my name is Tommy Kirkpatrick. I'm a videographer based in Mississippi, but I serve the entire Southeast and occasional destinations.
Yeah, we love it. And actually, Tommy has his own dedicated episode that went live probably like
Yes.
a year, 18 months ago.
I think it was like almost a year ago exactly, I think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so if you want to scroll back and find that one, it's a good one.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this a lot recently I feel like for me, social media is one of those things that if there's a list of like priority items and the list starts getting filled up, social media is the first one that gets cut. It's like, I have too many edits going on. I don't have time. I'm going to cut off social media and just don't have the time to put out reels or anything. And with that, it's also one of those items that I'm thinking like, okay, what would it look like to outsource that? But with a videographer, especially if you're gearing towards the luxury industry, with photography, it's a lot easier to outsource because you already have all the images and you can tell them like, hey, pick some from this wedding, give me some, get some of the reception details for this and come up with a post for this. And you kind of give them some guidelines. With video, you can't really outsource you kind of got to make a custom edit almost just for like most of your social media posts, unless you have certain clips you can grab from like a highlight reel or post an old teaser or something. So my question is there any, or do you know of a reasonable way to outsource social media for a wedding videographer in the luxury industry?
That's a great question. So, yes, you're right. You would have to be able to come up with all the assets on
Exactly.
your own, and then it would basically just be up to them to strategize on like when to post and like
Yeah.
put it in their hands as far as like pushing that post button. So, did you know you can schedule reels to go live in the future?
Yes.
Okay, so I would actually, instead of hiring out or like outsourcing that, because you're going to have to create the content yourself, I would
Exactly,
rather
yeah.
you pick one day a month where you put all of your reels in a draft and schedule them out. I think you can do up to 90 days out scheduled. So
That's
I'd
cool.
rather see you do that.
Exactly.
So what I found helpful is using like recycling as much as possible in like creative ways. So you have the full teaser film, then I'll chop it up, like just take the exported teaser film. I'm not going back into the project file, and I
Just
will
take it.
take it and put it to new music and maybe like or change the order of the clips, or just
Yeah,
have
okay.
these clips for 10 seconds or these clips for 10 seconds. And then I will for my like show pieces, right? I'll take like the 4K project, and again, I'm like doing this the quick way, so I'm not in the project. I'm in like the exported version, bringing it back into Final Cut, and I'm like chopping the highlight film up too, so I have
Okay,
like
cool.
more shots. I mean, if you do that with every wedding, you could probably walk away with like 15
That's true,
different
yeah.
posts, and then just keep them in your like on a desktop folder. And then when you go once a month to like look at which weddings you feel like you should be showing as for your marketing, like go schedule them once a week, or I mean once a month. And maybe 2 posts a week or whatever, 8 posts a month, like no biggie.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But then when you're like, oh, this is peak booking season, like I really want to stir up, then like, you know, put some fuel on the fire,
And that's when you can do
even
more custom pieces or things you kind of want to showcase. Because that's my problem is like November, December gets around, and that's when like I'll schedule like, okay, I'm doing 2 posts a week all the way through January.
Yep.
And then this like early year was busy for me. And so as soon as January like 15th hit, I was like, I'm out of post, and also I'm busy. I'm just not gonna have time for this. So like I haven't posted but like once maybe in the past month or so. So figuring out that, and I think that's super helpful too, to think about it that way, that it doesn't always have to be, I always want to open up the project file and like, here, let me think of an idea, let me find a song on Instagram, and then let me try to like create an idea for a reel that has like almost like a mini story in it or something, and I end up wasting so much time doing that and spending way more time on social media than I really want to.
So that's a barrier for you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it makes you not want to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think if you can make things easier and make yourself feel more motivated to them because they're not so much of a heavy lift, you'll be more likely to follow through on it. Do you listen to Alex Hormozzi's podcast?
I don't think so.
So it's not wedding industry. He's just like a business guy, you know? But his philosophy is you should spend half of your working time on marketing.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I hear you that you're busy, and I hear you that you're like backlogged, but there's no business if there's not clients,
Exactly.
and there's no clients if there's not marketing. So actually like he believes that like the first half of your workday should be dedicated to marketing.
Okay.
And so like putting it on the calendar, and it's a non-negotiable every single day, you have to do it. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense too, because I still like, I've done the whole, like I have time blocks for it, like once a month. I'm like, hey, this first half of the day of first Monday of every month, like you're going to do social media. And the time comes around, I'm like, well, I got a lot of stuff going on. So I don't put it as a priority. So I think that's more helpful, is thinking of it in a sense of like, no, this is something it's a meeting that's scheduled in advance that you can't not attend. Like you have to go and you have to do the work. So that helps.
You have to do, and like maybe it would be helpful to leave the house. Maybe you make it a ritual where like you go sit in that coffee shop, from 9 to 10:30 every day, and like that's your time where you're creating the content, spending time on your captions, or like interacting with other people on Instagram. Like you're like, this coffee shop I now associate with my marketing time, and that it's part of my routine now. I know like working from home, it can be hard because you're being pulled in a million directions. Like you have laundry ready to flip and kids to feed and all this stuff. And so I think that like really safeguarding the time that you need in order to successfully get clients and then grow your business, like that has a direct correlation to like your ability to be successful. Like it really is that serious. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Cool. That was very helpful then. That was a very direct answer that I needed. So I can go back home and kind of start implementing that.
Perfect. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Level Up podcast. Again, we are here at Hybrid. You'll be seeing a lot of this setup over the next several weeks. Lots more amazing interviews and questions answered to come. And we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.